It very quickly. The number 10 elastic allows you to do that. So I'm just going to go across now on double cast. There's one or two indications over there. Let's pick the other pole up and put it together. This is a much stronger pole, so it allows me to bully the fish out into the open water if I should be lucky enough to hook one. What I'm going to do is push the pole slowly into the far bank, and what that means is as you push the pole away from you, the bait follows the end of the pole and it falls down right alongside the edge of the lilies. Sometimes if you drop it straight in, the bait just sits on top of the lily pads, which are under some of the tops of the pads which are under the water, and you can get snagged up on the lilies. So by pushing it slowly away from you, it should lie right alongside the edge of them. That wind is just picking up a bit now, although the sun's out, and it's just pushing the tip of the pole around a bit. I found actually that sometimes when it's bright, the pole over the top of the fish's heads can actually scare them a bit and make them less inclined to feed. But strangely enough, the one fish I've found which doesn't seem to bother about that is the tench. On several occasions I've been fishing in very clear water with a pole, fishing for tench, and the tench swim around under the end of the pole quite happily, whereas it would almost certainly scare any other fish. Why that should be, I've no idea. The pole is just blowing around slightly in the wind now. If it gets too bad and it's pulling the float out of position, one little trick is to put a back shot on the line between the end of the pole and the float. And yes, look at that. Yes, that's the fish we've been looking for. This is definitely a tench. Definitely. Now what you've got to do is try and pull it away from the fire bank straight away. Sometimes they swim into the fire bank, sometimes they want to come into the open water. And this one, fortunately, has just swam into the open water. Now there's a couple of lilies stuck up in the middle of the canal, which I need to be very careful of, and also some rushes right by my feet, so I've got to carefully guide him around those. Now he's swimming up the centre of the canal at the moment, so as long as there's no lily pads there that I haven't seen, we should be okay. I've broken the pole down there as quickly as I could, which makes it much easier to fight the fish, fishing with holding 6-7 metres of pole in your hand rather than 12 or 13. Now this is obviously a good fish, so I need to be a bit careful with it. But I felt sure they were there because there were the bubbles coming up, so once I saw the bubbles it didn't actually take long to catch one. And it feels like a good fish. It's obviously a tench. See it boiling on the surface, and I can see it there. Yeah, it's a good tench. It's a good tench. I'm going to just let it tire out in the centre of the canal there, because when I unship there's a danger that it'll swim around these rushes which are in the edge. So just guide it away from those if I can. If there's any rushes or stick-ups in the canal, if you just keep the pole above it, there's less chance of the line actually wrapping around the lilies. He's gone into the fire bank rushes. There, I pulled him out again. Okay, so ship down. This time we could have him. It's a good fish. Here we go. Come on, there's some lilies. Oh, he's gone around some lilies. Here we go. Here we go. Some more lilies. Let's try to keep him away from those. Tench, well, all big fish are very good at finding snags, but particularly tench. Come on, you beauty. Here we go. Here we go. Come on. Come on. Just get them up on the surface and get a mouthful of air, and usually you'll be, yes, look at that. Yes. Yes, there we go. What a beautiful fish. Well, that's a nice tench. Let's put the pole down out of the way. Let's just carefully unhook it. With these smallish hooks, I think it's better to use a disgorger if you possibly can, rather than try and take it out with your fingers. It's much quicker. What a beautiful tench. That's a good 4 pound fish, maybe a bit bigger. And you can see, if you look at it carefully, you can see why they're so powerful, because look at the size of that fin, look at the size of that tail fin. Almost the size of someone's hand. What a beautiful fish. And again, you can see the lateral line all the way along there. What a beautiful fish. That's what we came for. Let's put him gently in the net. There we go. Let's see if we can go over and get another one. There's still some bubbles coming up there actually, so it could be that there's several moved into the swim. We'll go over and have another go. Quite often when you've caught one, if the playing of the fish has not spooked the rest of the shoal, it's quite common that you go over and have another one straight away. Hopefully we will. We'll put double caster on again. That sun is really starting to break through now. It's getting warm. Sometimes when it gets too bright, if the water is very clear, then it tends to put the fish off a bit. And they sometimes feel better later in the evening when the sun's dropped a bit. Let's go back out and see if we can catch another one. Now you can see why I needed the 10 elastic when I had that fish, because even with the 10 elastic it was stretched out in the pole probably 10 or 12 feet. Look at that, the float is just moving very slightly then. Yes, look at that, another bite straight away. Oh, this doesn't feel like a tench. Still a good fish I think, certainly not a tench. Try and guide it away from the release. No, I think it's an eel. Yeah, it's an eel. The eels have obviously moved in. It's a nice eel, but we'll net it, slip the net under it. See if we can unhook it without losing the hook. Sometimes you can hold the eel through the net and it'll stop them wriggling. There we go. Slip him into the net very carefully. In fact, it's probably easier to put the net inside the keep net. Well, that was a bit disappointing. I thought it was another tench. It was an eel, quite a nice eel, but nevertheless I thought that was a tench. Still, we've had a nice day. We've had a lovely day on the hemp. We've had, I think I've had a bite nearly every put-in on the hemp, which this time of year is quite good. I think when it warms up a bit, you can catch lots of fish on the hemp, and it's a very inexpensive way to go fishing. I've also caught some silver bream on it, and 2 or 3 rudd. I've even caught a couple of motherless minnows on the bare hooks while I was feeding with a cup, but I wouldn't have a clue what bait to recommend for them. Still, I've got a shop to go to. I can go back and help the lads unload the bait, I suppose. I can probably sneak back there for a couple of hours if I have to. I'll then come back again this evening and see if I can catch another couple of tench. If you're ever down this way and you want to know where the best spots are or what the best baits to use, then pop in, have a cup of tea, and I'll give you all the information. Okay, I'll see you on the bank. Cheers.